Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pete Zaris. I'm the president and CEO of CloudStrategies. I'd like to welcome everyone and those that are just joining on our session today to talk with our strategic partner Vaultive on how you can gain ownership and control of your Exchange Online and Office 365 data in the cloud. With me today, I'm thrilled to have Ken Knieven from Vaultive, who will be presenting the bulk of our content today after I give a quick introduction from CloudStrategies. What we have planned in our relatively brief agenda today will be just a quick overview and background around CloudStrategies. I'll again hand over to Ken, who will give an introduction of Vaultive, and then dive in deep with some really nice data encryption at rest solutions for Office 365 and Exchange Online, and we'll take some time at the end for some Q&A. So CloudStrategies, we help clients discover, adopt, and manage great cloud solutions. We have been in business for almost 4.5 years now. We've worked with over 300 businesses to move them to Office 365 and Microsoft Cloud Technologies. It's one of our core platforms, and we work with clients across the country of all sizes, upper SMB and mid-market predominantly, and we really believe in cloud solutions. We run on them ourselves. We eat our own dog food. We run our business with people throughout the Northeast and Midwest, and don't own a server, and run our business exclusively on cloud solutions, including Vaultive, who we're going to be talking about today. And we've been in partnership with them for several years now and running on their solution ourselves and selling and deploying with clients. Core to CloudStrategies is our belief in not only the Microsoft Cloud solutions and technologies, but also great partners. And on the screen, you can see some of the partners that we work with. We have work with Exoprise for monitoring, Vaultive for encryption, eVault for backup, and as well as the full portfolio of Microsoft solutions. We have awards and accolades as we've been an early born on the cloud online services solution provider. As I mentioned, we have worked with over 300 clients to move to the cloud, a host of household names, large and small, that we can draw on experience in working with these organizations to help people start off with understanding the business value of cloud solutions and then apply the technology to meet business goals and objectives. And across our partner solutions, we look at several buckets of technologies that we work with. We help businesses communicate with cloud solutions. That's the core Microsoft Office 365 solutions, Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and Lync Online, as we're working with those technologies today to deliver this content to you. We help businesses connect with cloud technologies, dynamic CRM online, and workspace communications for cloud voice solutions. Today's content is mostly in our protect bucket, how you can protect your data using cloud solutions, and Vaultive obviously is a key strategic partner. We also work with eVault and Symantec in this bucket. We also help businesses host their data in the cloud, solutions from SoftLayer and growing solutions from Microsoft on their Azure infrastructure as a service solutions. And we wrap all of those solutions with a managed component, so we help people not only discover and adopt those solutions, we helped our clients manage those solutions over time and see that they're getting the most out of those technologies as they go. A couple of quick overviews of some of the canned offerings that we have, or packaged offerings. We do have a great Office 365 strategy briefing that we can deliver to our clients, and we use that briefing to help a business align their business goals over a 12 to 18 month period with core cloud technologies. Understand whether it be a messaging solution or a security solution or a business continuance disaster recovery solution. We help a business understand solutions that are available in the marketplace and how they should consider moving to those solutions. So it's a great entry point engagement that we do with our clients to help them define sort of a roadmap for how to take advantage of cloud solutions. Another solution that we do more and more this fiscal year with Microsoft is we have an Office 365 Fast Track solution. So if you are a certain size client in relationship with Microsoft, Microsoft will fund engagements like these Fast Track engagements to help you hit the ground running and get a fast track on your deployment of Office 365. So we'd certainly love to talk with any and all of you about these and other solutions and how your business can take advantage of them. So with that, I am now going to hand the reins over to Ken for him to take the mic over in the presentation and talk about Vaultive and their solutions to help you maintain ownership and control of your data in the cloud. Take it away, Ken.
Thank you, Pete, and thank you, CloudStrategies, and thank you, everybody, for attending this morning's, or excuse me, this afternoon's webinar. My name is Ken Knieven. I am the Director of Channels for Vaultive. We're based out of New York City, and I'm actually making my call today from Northern Virginia. And I just wanted to take everybody through a quick briefing of who Vaultive is, the solution area that we satisfy, and obviously our relationship with CloudStrategies, as Pete has been showing you in terms of deploying Office 365, messaging, collaboration, anything that's going into the cloud. One of the bigger issues that I think most people are come to terms with now is who is maintaining ownership and control of the data in the cloud. And that's a space that we fit directly in. That's our core competency. That's our legacy. I think Dave Cullinane, who is chairman of the Cloud Security Alliance, former chief security officer at eBay, said it best. Unless you know who you can do what, unless you know who can do what with your data, how do you manage risk and maintain control? What he's implying there is, with the data in the cloud, who ultimately is controlling access to that data, who can see it, who has ultimate control over it under interesting circumstances. What we offer is a very elegant, unobtrusive solution that works hand in hand with partners like CloudStrategies when deploying Office 365 or a number of different areas that we support, but I'll focus on the Office 365 support today. But being a Microsoft partner ourselves, gold certified, we have been deploying for the last 5 years an encryption solution that is very unique in the marketplace for securing your data, if it's Exchange, if it's Dynamics, if it's SharePoint, if it's Yammer, if it's SkyDrive. But again, today we'll focus on the Office 365 deployments. And basically what we're providing here is what we consider to be significant intellectual property, a lot of patents around this capability, allowing users to focus on maintaining control of their data, encrypting the data while it's at rest, which many can do, while it's in transit, which some can do, and while it's in use, which very few, and we think we're the ones that do it best in that area. So we're looking at it from 3 different perspectives. From our standpoint, cloud adoption and maintaining control really falls into the user's issues in terms of, are they going to be able to maintain compliance, maintain regulations, compliance matters that would be specific to their needs, be it HIPAA, customer information, private individual information. There are many compliance and regulatory bodies out there that want to make sure that if you're providing or provisioning your cloud data, that it is secure, that your customer data, your client data, your patient data is secure. There are many regulations out there. There are many compliance matters that you have to look at from an end user standpoint, from the end user or the responsible for end users' data. These are matters that you have to be cognizant of as you're looking at deploying this your data into the cloud. And ultimately, what it boils down to is it's the end user's responsibility for controlling their data. It's not the cloud service provider's responsibility. Their responsibility is for securing the data center, but when it comes to dealing with the data and who's maintaining that data, that really boils down to you. And I think Gartner said it best. Looking at this from the left side of the graph, when you have control of the information processing requirements and the data on premise, it's a pretty simple matter to control. But as you move out and into the cloud service provider realm, controlling the data, controlling storage becomes more of a responsibility of the cloud service provider. But when it comes to data, you are, again, the one that is primarily responsible for maintaining control and protecting it and keeping it away from insider threats, regulatory matters need to be maintained, what have you. This is where you, the end user, have to focus a lot of your time and attention. The roles and responsibilities really I think are best summarized here. The cloud service provider is focusing on their core competency, which is providing the hosting and the processing, and how they secure that process and those procedures, that infrastructure, is their responsibility. The end user organization is responsible for the ownership of the data and the control of the data. And the typical issues that one might encounter when deploying their information into the cloud deal with data security, hackers, rogue employees, data commingling, security breaches, data disclosure. What happens if there is a court order or subpoena for the information? Who handles that? How is it handled? Compliance. Is it HIPAA compliant? Are we dealing with PII matters correctly? Data residency. I may have end user areas that are various entities around the world. I might have deployments in certain countries within Europe as well as Pacific Rim. How do I make sure that I'm dealing with all the requirements that might be specific to those end user country requirements? Going on, compliance is not something that can be assigned to others. Again, it boils down to you having to take responsibility for your end user data and the requirements associated with it. The best way to handle this is encrypting. Most entities will provide a third-party solution that will allow the data to be encrypted at rest. But again, that's a partial point solution. It's not going to solve your overall issues that we believe we can help mitigate. Expanding the responsibility that doesn't translate into translating or transferring risk. And again, a good example of this is if you're being hosted in the Microsoft realm, which is a good place to be if you're using Office 365, CloudStrategies and Vaultive would say that is a wonderful place to go in terms of maintaining your email ecosystem. But if there were a subpoena to Microsoft, how would that subpoena be handled? I'll take you through a quick scenario as to how that might be mitigated, but who's going to control that conversation if indeed that happened? Or who's going to control your data if there is a rogue attack? It's up to you. What do? We provide a patent pending solution that basically, very simply, there is a need for somebody to subpoena your information. The on-premise role would basically point out that there is a subpoena that would come to you. You would get your attorneys involved. They would indeed in turn respond to the subpoena after legal consultation. And again, the matter is taken in hand and the matter is taken care of appropriately. The second area of this slide, and this was a building slide, so bear with me. I'm just going to talk through it directly here. If it's traditionally held by a cloud service provider, a subpoena might be received by Microsoft or another hosted party or entity, and the subpoena would go to them, and they would immediately provide the data to the entity sending out the subpoena. With Vaultive, we turn the scenario back around. The subpoena is received by the cloud service provider. The CSP will turn over the data, but unfortunately, the data cannot be read. So there's nothing that the end users on that side can do with the data. So in turn, they have to now come to you because you own the keys. You're the only ones that can decrypt the data, and the end user now has the opportunity to see what the subpoena is about, and then can get into the matter of handling this legally and appropriately accordingly. Again, it's putting the control of the data back into your hands, and versus the cloud service provider that doesn't have to take responsibility for that matter from their perspective. Again, we offer a very powerful solution for data residency matters. Again, you may have various countries that have their own individual requirements in terms of how data is held by the cloud service provider and how those regulatory requirements are adhered to. Again, we can provide deployment that allows an entity to provision a virtual machine for each of those data residency areas and allow you to maintain control to those unique country requirements very easily. It's a win-win scenario. Again, I'm probably repeating this several times, but the typical conversation that we see with deployments of Office 365, hosted Exchange, SharePoint, Yammer, etc., is the issue of keeping the data encrypted. There are point solutions out there, as we know, that allow you to do this while the data is at rest. But again, the bigger issue is who's controlling the keys, and even more importantly, once the data is in transit, and more importantly, when the data is being used, who's controlling the data at that point in time, and is it indeed still being encrypted? And that's a unique situation that we think we can solve very easily for you. Again, Vaultive for Exchange, just to summarize, in use, if you're the authorized user, nobody notices, you don't notice what's happening. To an unauthorized user, it's obvious that the data is encrypted. Every message is protected, it's flexible, it's transparent, it integrates with all email clients. It's 100% compatible with Office 365, e-discovery, all of the functionality that you're used to with Outlook and Exchange is still there. Nothing has changed. You can still search. Antivirus and spam filtering are still underway. None of that has changed. It's complementary to Microsoft's own security solutions, such as BitLocker, rights management. Again, good point solutions, but in terms of adhering to the issue of who's encrypting the data and how is it being encrypted and who controls the keys, this is an area that we believe we can augment Microsoft solutions very nicely. Again, it's 100% seamless. It's extremely scalable. It supports all of the platforms that, in fact, I'm using Microsoft Office Surface Pro here at the office, as well as a Microsoft phone. All of the data that I'm looking at is encrypted on a regular basis because we do, like CloudStrategies, use the Vaultive solution internally. So it's supporting all of the platforms out there, even at the mobile level. The data is still being encrypted. We're platform independent when it comes to that. And we're completely, we can integrate completely with the Exchange server. We're one of the few people, I think, that have a deep understanding of Exchange and the protocols involved with Exchange. We have all of the protocols covered, including things like IMAP, MAPI, POP3. All of those things are fully supported. Public folders are fully supported. Advanced search operators are still fully supported. Auto discovery is still fully supported. Again, our point here is nothing has changed for the end user organization or the end users. We're just taking care of one of the big issues, and that is adhering to compliance or regulatory, or just the need to know that your data is secure and under control. See if it'll advance. Again, we are a very simple solution in that we provide a virtual machine. Our solution is purely a proxy server that sits on premise or wherever you need to have it be installed. We price basically by the seat, so you can have any number of virtual machines out there, and the virtual machines can be deployed to handle scalability, high availability, as well as I mentioned, data residency in terms of if you have a multiple country scenario, we can make sure that you are handling those requirements very elegantly and very uniquely. Just to sum up, we've been around for 5 years. We're very well known in the marketplace. The analyst coverage and certainly the press coverage has been significant for us. And I think it boils down to a very simple premise. We're keeping it extremely simple. It's unobtrusive, but it solves a very, very big need with a very powerful solution, and that is encrypting your data while it's at rest, while it's in transit, and most importantly, while it's in use. So with that, I'll turn the presentation back over to Pete. I don't know if we have any time for any questions or answers, but I'd be happy to jump into that with you as well.
Yeah, Ken, thank you very much. That was wonderful. I think that's exactly what we wanted from an overview standpoint from Vaultive, and I think hopefully pretty obvious to everyone on the line, the elegance of the solution. I was just going to open up to questions, and it looks like we have one in the IM session. So this is actually a softball, Ken, so I can cover this one. So we have Ken as a guest participant here on the line. So Ken, the Vaultive appliance is hosted at your location. It ultimately could be at another offsite location, but it is not at an Office 365 or a Microsoft location. That's essential to the whole solution of maintaining ownership and control, because as we know, it's very rare that they do it, but there are times when Microsoft or any provider, Google, Amazon, IBM, whoever, could ultimately get forced into a scenario where they'd have to turn over in a blind subpoena. The point of this solution is to keep those keys outside of that control and in your control to maintain that. So that's a great question to make sure we got out of the way. Ken Knieven, I think I'm confident that I answered that one correctly because I've worked with you guys long enough. But do we have any other questions you can open up either on the phone, on audio, or in the IM session?
Yeah, Pete, I was just going to add that, you couldn't have answered it better.
Great, thanks. Okay, Ken's got more in the IM session. Let's digest that here. Yes, so Ken just asked for those not watching the IM session. So users outside of your network would pass back to your network, at least to the DMZ, to go through the encrypt and decrypt process. I'll paraphrase some of the stuff that Ken Knieven already presented, but as we've worked with ourselves and our clients, some of the elegance of this solution from an end user perspective is that it's all transparent to your end users. Basically, through the auto discover process, Outlook or Outlook Web Access knows where the encrypted users do get routed through the appliance automatically without anyone having to manually take changes. And Ken, on your IM session, as far as the extra internet bandwidth, it's nominal, right? So yes, it ultimately does need to come through your internet bandwidth to do that. And thanks, Ken Knieven, for coming back to this diagram here. But it's ultimately pretty lightweight, and really this is the way you would need to extend those boundaries to maintain that ownership and control. Now, it certainly would technically be viable to have the appliance at another facility not controlled by Microsoft. That certainly could be viable, but these are great questions we can either continue to address here or take offline as far as what your thoughts or concerns in your particular network environment.
One thing I'd actually chime in, this is Jay Pilkington at CloudStrategies. We have a pretty good sized client, upwards of about 700 users that is running Vaultive, and users have not commented at all about any performance degradation. I would assume that's the essence of your question, Ken, is will users be notice an impact on their ability to send and receive? And I would say that answer is no.
Yeah, and this is Ken Knieven. Thank you for Pete and Jay for handling that. That's very true. In fact, we're finding in most instances the various protocols within Exchange are probably consuming more bandwidth than we do for a lot of the things that you're doing with Exchange. So that's a matter it's a good question. It comes up, but I think looking at our end user community, and it can certainly be tested if there is interest in going forward. We can show this very easily in the proof of concept as well as testing scenarios in-house.
Good. Great. Ken, thank you for your questions. Anyone else on dial-up or in IM with questions for the CloudStrategies team or Ken from Vaultive?
Paul Wismer, I know I saw you beginning to type a question. Did it get answered, or we are wrapping up a bit early, so it'd be great to get any additional Q&A while we're all here. Not calling you out, Paul.
Just put him on the spot. Okay, great.
All right.
All right. Well, to our participants, thank you very much for joining us. For Ken Knieven, thank you for a wonderful presentation. And for those of you still on the line, look for additional future webinars from CloudStrategies and Vaultive in the weeks and months ahead. Thanks, everyone, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks all.